available to support. So for everyone who's arrived, thanks for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you. These are so much fun for me, and I learned so much from you guys just from understanding what your questions are. What we've seen is that a lot of the questions around the ketogenic diet, and also that the ketogenic diet does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to reversing Alzheimer's. And we watch and see people do this all the time at home. So really exciting, very hopeful stuff that we're seeing both in the clinic at Marama and with all of you guys at home as you kind of digest some of this information. So what we're doing tonight is diving into what it looks like to live the keto diet for brain health at home. The replay of this will be available. So just for housekeeping, the replay will be available within the next 24 hours. Because you signed up for this, you will get an email with a link to the replay. And then I'm going to save about 30 minutes at the end, I hope, for questions. So please add your questions to the Q&A. The Q&A is where I'm going to look first, but in the chat, this is a great opportunity to build community. Tell us where you're from, where you're joining us from, and who it is that, you know, has touched you, who in your life has dementia. Are you noticing that you're starting to struggle with cognitive decline? Are you noticing, you know, that someone you love is? Why are you showing up here? That is what I'm very curious to learn. All right, so the reason that we're doing this is really because I believe everyone, 99.9% of people, have the ability to prevent dementia, that Alzheimer's really should be optional. And unfortunately, a lot of the research has gone into this beta amyloid plaque hypothesis. And although that's certainly meaningful and there's something there, I think the unfortunate part is that so much of our resources, so many taxpayer dollars, so much time, smart people's time, has been thrown at this one hypothesis, kind of at the exclusion of a more complex intervention. And what we're noticing now that the research is being done, both in my clinic and what Dr. Bredesen has done and what other people have done as well, is that most people can prevent dementia, and even most people can reverse their dementia. So in Dr. Bredesen's trial, they found that 84% of people with measurable cognitive decline were able to reverse that over 9 months. So this is really hopeful, really incredible results that they're getting. And it takes work. So many of you might have joined us for the summit in June and gotten just like drinking from the fire hose of information from all of these interviews. And I've talked to a lot of people that are still working their way through those interviews. And I'm delighted that we were able to get all of that information in one spot. However, we also get that it is work and it takes a lot to change your lifestyle. And what I'm aimed to do is get you the support that you need to implement this lifestyle, because we know it works. And what we want to do is make sure that you can put it to work at home. Really, ultimately, what we want to see is dementia become a rare and optional disease. So just so you know who I am, my name is Dr. Heather Sandison, and I really fell into this work because I had really great success with patients early on. And I was skeptical of Dr. Bredesen. I heard him speak at a conference, and I had been told by so many well-meaning instructors, so many smart people, that you couldn't reverse Alzheimer's. And so when he said that at a conference I was at, I was like, wait, what? I didn't think that you could do that. And I was intrigued because the way he presented it was through this complex system science lens of, instead of doing one thing, we really needed this more complex intervention to match the complexity of a degenerative brain disease. And so he took the approach of doing everything that we could to help support cell function. And that was very intriguing to me. And so with that, I then brought it back into my clinic after getting his training and put it to work and saw phenomenal results. And then slowly I started building a reputation around this. I had a philanthropist come in as a patient. He had a good experience and asked how he could help. And he funded a clinical trial that we did in our office, and we're publishing those results this year, the I Think Clear trial. I'm really excited to get those results out there because they're profound. And then I also had the opportunity to start Marama, which is a residential care facility for the elderly, where we provide an immersive experience in the Bredesen approach. And this is the first facility of its kind. And we're really excited about what we're doing there, and also excited because we are looking to pilot a program where we're going to extend that into other existing nursing homes and senior care facilities. And so it looks like the second location is going to be in the Midwest. And so there will be more news on that to come, but I've been working hard on that recently and really, really excited. You guys are the first to hear about it. And so really excited to share that as we kind of progress through that project. And so my story is very much one of like just boots on the ground. We're doing this, and then we're learning so much so fast, right? Everybody was told there was nothing you could do about Alzheimer's. And then here we are discovering that there's actually an overwhelming amount that you can do. And my goal is to take all of the learning that we're getting from both Marama, from what's happening in the clinic, from these conversations, these webinars, and the coaching that we're doing for you at home, and then put it together so that it's packaged in a way that you can get the most out of it, and we can create a community here for everyone to learn from. So that is what we're doing, and what I'm so excited to bring to you. So Dr. Bredesen came to our grand opening at Marama. This is a picture from Marama, and that night we were really really fortunate to have him come. It was like 2 weeks before COVID hit and the world shut down. So it was quite an exciting time, but we snuck in our grand opening party right before that. And we were really, really fortunate to have Dr. Bredesen's support and have him there. And he continues to be extremely supportive and really contributing profoundly again to the research, which we're so grateful for. And then it's so fun to see these photos of all of these amazing human beings pop up. I mean, I see so many friends and colleagues in this, and hopefully you were able to come to the summit, learn from the summit. Dr. Bredesen and Dr. Perlmutter partnered with me on that. And really our goal is to change the narrative around what's possible for those struggling with Alzheimer's, because we have seen reversal of this disease. Now, not a cure. I wouldn't use the language of a cure. Once you get into this lifestyle, there's lots and lots and lots of benefits, and we see people improve. And the other thing that we see is that if you go back to a standard American diet, if you go back to a sedentary lifestyle, if you stop wearing the CPAP machine, that it doesn't work as well, right? People start to regress. So again, we want to get you all of the support to do all of this at home. And that's our goal in terms of sharing this information through the summit, through these webinars, through coaching, through Marama. So Linda was one of my first patients. So after being trained by Dr. Bredesen, I came back to my clinic here in San Diego, and I was still a skeptic. I hadn't seen this work. And again, I'd been told over and over that you could not reverse Alzheimer's, and that to suggest you could would be to give someone false hope and to really not do that. And then I saw Linda. So she came into my office with her husband, and her handwriting was affected. She had been a school teacher, and she could barely answer a question with a yes or no response. I could see that she was processing the questions I was asking, but by the time she was able to, remember the words, she'd forgotten the question. So of course, her experience and her relationship with her husband was dramatically affected, but she was still physically very healthy. Now, we used a MoCA score to assess her baseline cognitive function. So a MoCA score, many of you are probably familiar with this. It's out of 30. And so 30 is a perfect score. When you get below 26, that starts to be measurable cognitive impairment. When you're at a 0 or a 2, this is essentially nonverbal. And what we see on this, MoCA stands for the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. And we use this as a way to assess whether or not people are getting better. In our clinical trial here at Solsaria, we also use the Cambridge Brain Sciences battery of testing, and that's now covered by Medicare. But a MoCA is a quick 15-20 minute worksheet that you can do with someone who's trained to understand where baseline is. And then my favorite part is testing this every 3 to 6 months to see where people are. And sure enough, most of the time they get better. So this is Linda's mocha. At baseline is on the left, and you can see she's copying the cube and it's kind of up in the corner and she's not getting the shapes quite right. And to the right of that, you can see she draws the circle, but she doesn't put any numbers or any hands on the clock. So she ends up getting, she probably got a point for the contour there for the circle, but no other points for this. And then just 6 weeks later, this isn't the entire worksheet, it's just a snapshot where you can really see visually the change. She went from a 2 out of 30 on her mocha at baseline to a 7 out of 30 6 weeks later. This is a 5-point improvement in a mocha score, when typically we would expect people to be declining by 3 points every 12 months. In just 6 weeks, she had an improvement of 5 points. This is miraculous. Like, this is nothing short of a miracle. And of course, when I saw these scores and when I experienced Linda, I thought to myself, like, did we do something wrong 6 weeks ago? Like, did we mess it up? Did we not know what we were doing? But no, even her husband, I mean, it was an entirely different Linda. She was bickering with him about something that had happened the night before. She was able to answer with more than one word. And you can see she's now adding numbers to the clock, and she's moved that box and it's a little bit bigger. You can see that there's progress in the right direction. And so, of course, my first response was to go like, what did we do wrong? This isn't supposed to be possible. My second response was to start crying and just like kind of in disbelief. And my third response was to dedicate the rest of my life to making sure that everyone knows that this is possible. Because if that is possible for Linda, then what is possible for every daughter or son of someone with dementia who doesn't have symptoms yet? What is possible for somebody who's just starting to notice cognitive decline? If we can get reversal for people like Linda, then there are so many people that can avoid the awful, torturous suffering that's associated with this disease. So Linda and her husband had really phenomenal results very, very quickly. And my goal is to share with you kind of how they did that and what it was that they did. They got out of a moldy environment. Their bedroom had been moldy, and they didn't even move out of the house. They just moved to downstairs to the living room and kind of sealed off their bedroom. They started going to ballroom dancing classes 3 times a week. They were walking a lot every day, not just a slow stroll in the park, but they were walking to get their heart rate up. They switched to a completely ketogenic diet. She got all of her amalgams out and her dental work done. She got started on all the supplements and the bioidentical hormone replacement. They really went all in. And that's what I would encourage you to do. We have the most confidence when you don't just dip your toe in the water, but you dive in completely. And then we also have more confidence, the earlier on in the disease process it is, and the younger someone is. So I encourage anyone who's kind of thinking like, maybe this is an issue, dive in fully, do it completely. This is an anti-aging strategy. The side effects of this are that blood pressure modulates, so it gets higher if it's low and lower if it's high, and blood sugar, same thing. We get reversal of diabetes, mood improves and sleep improves, and lots of things get better. And so I highly encourage you to do this. If you're supporting someone else, do this program with them. All right, so what's the program? This is a very typical day at Marama, and what I want to share with you is how we do, it's in orange here. Tonight, we're going to talk about keto. So I get the most questions about keto, and this is a typical day at Marama. So our Marama at Home course and the coaching goes through all the components of the activities, the exercises, the environment, how to get the most out of your visits with the Bredesen trained provider. And tonight we're going to talk a bit about the keto piece. So I want you to go home. I want you to finish tonight. You're probably at home. I want you to, at the end of this, feel like you have some tangible direction around how to implement the ketogenic diet. And how we do it at Marama is an 8 a.m. breakfast and a ketogenic breakfast. Lots of these are egg-based. If you can't eat eggs, that's totally okay. I can't eat eggs and I still get into ketosis. One strategy, of course, is skipping breakfast. We can't do that at Marama because by law, we need to feed everyone 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. But you can do, there are delicious, wonderful egg-free breakfasts. And in the Marama at Home course, we of course talk through a lot of those, and it's so fun to share recipes amongst each other. And then at Marama, we do activities after that include typically a walk and then a meditation, the Kirtan Kriya meditation. If you haven't heard me talk about that, it's a quick, free 12-minute Nama. So there's finger movement involved and then singing a mantra. And that goes for 12 minutes, totally free. I highly recommend the caregivers do it with whoever they are care partnering for. Great. No excuse not to. Just 12 minutes, totally free. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. And we can see the entire mood in the room shift before and after that. And then afterwards, there's daily chronicles, writing, so stimulation of the brain with that. And then a snack, a ketogenic snack, then usually some sort of creative arts, and then lunch at noon. Usually there's some creative stuff going on afterwards. We're wrapping up whatever that morning activity is. And then at 2:30, there's a light snack, a ketogenic snack. And I'm going to give you some ideas about snacks tonight. So maybe get your phones ready. This, of course, will be recorded, so you'll have access to it. But if you want to get a snapshot of those snack ideas, and I'm going to share a fun recipe with you. So get those out, get those phones out if you want to take a quick snapshot of that. And then we do a therapy exercise circuit where we do the Juve Light, the Live O2, rebounder, saunas. We've got all kinds of fun stuff going on in our casita is what we call it. We've got a little gym set up, and then a 5 o'clock dinner. What's important there is that you want to have dinner early enough that you have that 3-hour window between dinner and when you take that last bite of dinner, and then when you get in bed and go to sleep. So if you're going to bed around 8:30 or 9, you want to have dinner around 5. And then after that, we just offer herbal tea. So we'll usually do an after dinner game or some kind of activities, and then herbal tea in the evening. No more food because that can interfere with restful sleep. So we want everyone getting really good quality restful sleep so we can get that glymphatic system squeezing all the toxins out of the brain, get those memories solidified in the brain, get all that processing happening. That really good high quality sleep is essential to cognitive function, as all of us know, right? Because we've been sleep deprived and then our brain doesn't work. I think most of us can relate to that experience. So some keto basics we're going to launch into, and again, add those questions to the Q&A. I know there are so many questions around ketosis. What is the goal of ketosis? It is to change your metabolism. So a lot of people say, like, is this on a ketogenic diet? Is that on a ketogenic diet? About foods or yogurt or, you know, what granolas come up, the packaged stuff that says keto on it. So the question isn't, I care what you're eating. Of course, I want you eating good, nutrient-dense whole foods. But the question is more about, is that on the keto diet for you? Because this is about your metabolism. So everyone is different. And I can't tell you how many times I've had 2 patients, a husband and wife in my office, say they're both on the ketogenic diet, and one can stay in ketosis with zucchini and the other one gets kicked out of ketosis when they eat zucchini. I had a patient tell me they could eat white rice and stay in ketosis, which is totally crazy. That should not happen. But the point being, everyone's a little bit different. So I highly recommend measuring your ketones. And Whitney, would you mind putting the web address for the Keto Mojo in the chat, or in the chat for everyone? That resource is great. The Keto Mojo is a great way to test your ketones. And that website, the Keto Mojo website, has tons of wonderful information. But this is not just about a diet. The goal here is to change your metabolism so that you are burning fat or as ketones instead of sugar or carbohydrates. So you have different fuel sources. Most of us spend our entire lives burning sugar for fuel. This is in the form of carbohydrates, not necessarily a bag of Skittles, but in the form of bread and pasta and even an apple, right? These are healthy foods. It's not that we want you to be in ketosis and never have an apple again, but it's about taking the time to switch your metabolism, flip that switch of your metabolism so that you burn ketones for fuel instead of sugar. And the focus here is on fat and protein and veggies, and away from carbohydrates. So we really restrict and limit the number of carbohydrates. Some very lucky people can get away with 50 grams of carbohydrates a day. Most people need between 20 and 30 grams of carbohydrates, so very small amounts to get into ketosis. And sometimes you need even a little less in that initial stage, those first few days. And what we do over time, once you're keto adapted, is we restore this metabolic balance. So the ketogenic diet is an ancestral diet. So our hunter-gatherer ancestors were designed to go back and forth from burning sugar for fuel to burning fat for fuel. And this is because there wasn't abundant sugar available 365 days a year the way there is now. So really important to have that dynamic ability to go back and forth. This is, in effect, the hormesis. This hormetic effect is that we're stressing the system a little bit in order to get a better response, more resilience. So this is really exciting. Again, this helps if you have type 2 diabetes and dementia or cognitive decline. This is good for both of those things. If you have some toxins like a type 3 dementia or Alzheimer's, like Dr. Bredesen describes, high toxic burden, this is a detox diet. If you are inflamed, if you have pain, this is an anti-inflammatory diet. So there's tons of benefits from this, and it's a big part of why people tend to get better on the Bredesen protocol. It's interesting because just even in 2017, 5 years ago, when Dr. Bredesen's book was published, he didn't emphasize ketosis as much. And what we've learned since then is how important this is. It's kind of funny, when we opened Marama, Dr. Bredesen is just so amazing and such a wonderful human being. He's always asking me like, hey, Heather, who's not getting better? What's going on? What are we missing? He is really dedicated to this and believes, as do I, that everyone can heal, everyone can get better. And if somebody isn't, we're missing something. And he said 9 out of 10 times they're not getting into ketosis. So ketosis is a very big component to success in this program. So what to add here? This is a willingness to rethink what's healthy. For a long time, we were told that the foundation of that food pyramid, which is like criminal now when I think about it, especially for brain healing or obesity or diabetes, right? 8 servings of grains a day, we've got to let that go. That is not healthy. That is not, that basically has caused an epidemic of obesity and cognitive decline and diabetes in this country. So we need to rethink what's healthy. Fats are healthy. And I know so many of the patients I work with, they are used to hearing that fats are bad for them. And so when they go into ketosis, they end up calorie restricting because they're afraid of the fats, but now they're giving up carbs. So now we're restricting too much. What we want is lots and lots of good food, lots of calories. This is not about calorie restriction. It's about carbohydrate restriction. So rethinking what's healthy is really important. And then a willingness to give up processed foods. So an ability to let go of our like snacky items like the crackers and the chips and all that stuff that we kind of grab for when we're in maybe emotionally eating or something like that, or we want something quick and easy to go. We need to just switch what they look like and then be open to a new way of cooking, because this does require looking at new recipes and going maybe potentially to a new store, or at least shopping in different aisles, kind of getting out of our routines and being open to something new. What I love about that is it's essentially like bicep curls for your brain to learn new ways of cooking, and it's executive function. This is the type of thing that keeps someone independent long-term. When you go through the process of looking through a cookbook or looking online for a new recipe, and then you make the grocery list and you go to the store and you buy it, you go through the aisles and find the things that you need and the right amounts, and then you come home and you prepare it. That entire process is executive function. That's the kind of thing, the planning and execution, that may help someone maintain independence. So yes, you can do Sudoku all day long and you can do crossword puzzles. It's not very practical. That's not really the muscle that we want to grow if we're talking about maintaining independence. What I also encourage you to do is commit to the process. So there are ups and downs, and there are successful days and there are unsuccessful days, and it is a process and a learning experiment. So committing to that is very important. And then this willingness to forgo typical convenience processed foods is another important piece of this. What to let go of is this idea that you need to be hungry and deprived. That is not at all the experience for most people. Now, that being said, the first few days are a little rough. So when I first go into ketosis, I can't stop thinking about donuts. I'm not even someone who's eaten a donut in the last decade. However, when I go into ketosis, I have about 24 hours where I am obsessing over carbohydrates. And it's yeast, or it's the addiction that's talking. And it's not that I need them, because once I get up over that hump, it feels so good. The mental clarity, the energy, the better sleep, the better mood, all of that is well worth, the reward is well worth that day of kind of thinking a lot about carbohydrates. And then there's much less, once you're in ketosis, you really aren't that hungry. You don't have those sugar spikes and drops. And so it feels much better. You're not hungry. In fact, we have to sort of encourage people to eat. And then you don't have to replace real food with shakes and bars and meal replacements. That's really not necessary. Sometimes we use some exogenous ketone powders. We'll use some mineral support, but shakes and bars and meal replacements, although it's not that you can't have them if they're ketogenic, but you don't need to go in that direction. Things do not need to be perfect. As I mentioned, this is a process. It is a lot of learning, and it's about just getting back on it when you fall off. You don't need to be buying fancy and exotic things. This can be very much the run-of-the-mill, what you would find in a typical grocery store. And it doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, many people, I think, find that it's less expensive, particularly if you start skipping one meal a day. It can become much less expensive and more satisfying and much more nutrient dense. So I'm curious, and I would love for you all to contribute in the chat and tell us, what is most confusing about the ketogenic diet for you? Hopefully we've cleared up some confusion just now. What is your biggest hurdle? What keeps you from getting there? I'm thinking that many of you showed up tonight because you have additional questions about the ketogenic diet, or there's something keeping you from crossing that threshold or fully committing. What would help? And just take any sort of constraints off the table. So don't even worry about time. Don't worry about money. If somebody came to your house and cooked ketogenic meals, would that help? There is a resource, and maybe if you would throw that in there as well, Whitney, the Chefs for Seniors resource, that's quite affordable. You do have to tell them to make ketogenic meals for you, give them recipes, but that can be a great resource. So forget about any constraints, financial, time, space, whatever. Just imagine you could have anything that you needed to get you into ketosis. What would make it easier? So I can see everyone adding to the chat. Thank you for contributing. I love reading through these. And I'm not going to read through them right now, but I invite you to go and see what other people are experiencing. And you may have an experience share that would be really valuable. If you were in a place, you saw that somebody was struggling with something that you've experienced and you've overcome it, please share that experience. This is one of the most valuable parts of getting this community together and having you all here at once, is that there's this opportunity to share that. So please do. So one of the common hurdles that comes up is, I don't know what to cook, right? Like, where do I even start? So again, this is that spot where take out your camera, take a quick snapshot of this. This is just 12 days of Marama. And this is a menu from, I don't even remember when this was. I think it was last March, but this was just what a typical week might look like at Marama, some ideas here. And you might see like oatmeal with granola blend. So that is a keto oatmeal. It is a carb-free oatmeal with chia seeds and flax seeds. So lots and lots of fiber, really, really, really yummy. There's some favorites on here. Oh, that portobello stack is so good. Salmon, lots of salmon. There are some really, really, oh, the Thai glazed salmon with veggies. So many great, yummy things on here. So hopefully get a snapshot of that. If not, don't worry, this is recorded. And then this next one is the fat bombs. So I think a lot of you, hopefully you're familiar with fat bombs. I always have these in my freezer. I have a 32-ounce mason jar. And once I've made these, I put them in there and put them in the freezer. And then if I want a snack or if I have a hankering for something sweet, I just have one of those fat bombs. Very, very satisfying, totally delicious, really easy to make. They don't require baking or anything. It's just like a bowl. I make them with my 3-year-old all the time. And what's really fun about these is you can get super creative. So they've got mint chocolate chip ones and red velvet cake ones and lemon cream ones, or these brownie fat bombs are kind of our go-to. There are so many different ones. Lexi at Marama, she's a med tech over there, and she helps out in the kitchen sometimes, and she loves making fat bombs. She gets really, really creative with them. And these are a great go-to snack that you kind of never tire of, because one, they're so tasty, but also because you can mix it up. Once you have that base, then you can change out the flavorings and get really creative and have a ton of fun. Please, if you are at home and you have an excellent fat bomb recipe, throw it in the chat. We'd love to see it. And also I will steal it and make it at home with my daughter next weekend. Here are some other snack ideas. So again, hopefully you have your camera out. Take a quick picture of this, because I think sometimes the biggest struggle is just ideas. Like, what do I make? And Whitney, another resource I'd love to share with everyone tonight is that Will Cole book, the Ketotarian one, because ketosis, even with this, I've had these conversations with different providers and different people in the field around, like, what if you just eat bacon and cheese? It's probably still worth getting into ketosis for, even though it's not a very healthy diet, but I would more than anything love for you to do a healthy ketogenic diet that's very vegetable focused and lots of those really good fats, not just a bunch of bacon. So not that you can't have bacon, if you're open to it, but what to have more of is the veggies and the fiber, the green beans and the tomatoes and the Brussels sprouts and the broccolis and the green juices and the meatballs and all of the good, really, really nutrient dense foods. And of course, in the meatballs, we put a bunch of veggies in them. That's why I said that. And some great smoothies that are low in sugar, so tons of guacamole, those really good high quality fats. We want tons of that. And then eggs, of course, if you can do tons of eggs on the ketogenic diet. These are very nutrient dense foods like avocados and eggs, right? Mom gave this to baby so baby could survive. These are very nutrient dense foods. So we want more of that and less of like the carbs that are kind of empty with nutrients, but high in calories and somewhat satisfying temporarily. All right, so hopefully you have some ideas and some meal planning ideas and support. Here, choose the recipes and allocate time. So Whitney's shared the Will Cole book. Dr. Will Cole wrote the Ketotarian book. It's a cookbook, tons of ideas in there. Choose them, go through the books, and online there's a ton of resources as well. The Keto Mojo website has a lot of recipes. So choose the recipes and then put aside the time. Sometimes that's the biggest issue. And that's actually where we start in the Marama at Home course. The first week is about creating routines and finding a little more spaciousness in the schedule so that you can prioritize these things, because it is really a big deal. And it takes time, but this ketogenic diet is so important. And usually what people notice is they get more time back because they have more energy. They feel more motivated once they're in ketosis. They get better sleep. So all of a sudden that return on investment is very, very high. Create a shopping list. So once you've chosen your recipes and you have some time set aside, create a shopping list. So the planning ahead really goes a long way. And then get to that store. Now, can you get everything in one spot, or do you need to make multiple stops? As we change our diet, sometimes we're having to switch these routines. I know I typically go to a couple of stores per week, and some places have things I like for one reason, and some places have another thing I like for another reason. So there's usually multiple stops involved, but not always. And it doesn't have to be that way, but maybe you have to switch grocery stores so it has more of the produce or more of what you're, a better butcher, more of what you're looking for. And then what other supplies do you need? You know, kind of funny things come up, like a blender or a zester or a food processor, or something new that you didn't, maybe these 32-ounce mason jars that you can store, you know, so you have glass instead of plastic to store food in. What else do you need? What supplies can you get so that you've planned and you've prepared ahead of time so you can get the most out of it? And then you're going to prep ahead. So often I'll come home, and when I, especially produce, I'll wash it all and sometimes chop it, so that then midweek when I have less time, I can do that on Sunday. And then midweek when I have less time, it's easy to just throw it into a stir fry or throw it in into whatever it is that we're making. And then the next step is to make your delicious keto meals and enjoy them. The most important part of all of this. And hopefully you can do it with a loved one, right? That you're involving someone in the meal planning and consumption process. So I want to introduce you to Chris. She is somebody who has done a great job getting into ketosis. She got her ketone levels up over 3 at one point, and she was a working nurse who started out with, and she, you know, she had a stressful job. She was still working nights. She was working overnight when I met her. In our process, we wrote a letter to her employer and asked that they let her, you know, get out of working nights. Because I think that was really detrimental to her cognitive function. But she was struggling with the EHR, the electronic health record system at work. She was really struggling to learn anything new. The only reason she was still able to work was because she'd been doing it for decades. And so it was very routine for her. But she was struggling and worried that she was going to lose her job. And she was worried she was losing her mind. She had measurable cognitive decline. So these are her MoCA scores, and you can see what happened over the course of 12 months. So she started out with a MoCA of 22, and just 3 months into the program, she was in ketosis, and her MoCA score was up to 26. So already pretty much normal. And then at 6 months, it went up to 27. And then 12 months into the program, she was up at 30. So her MoCA score was back to normal. She stopped working nights at right around 6 months. And so I think that added sleep really helped her get to the next level. So this is, you know, she's a poster child for this process. She did all of this at home. And with the support of her husband, he also got on the diet with her, really encouraged her to get the exercise and prioritize her sleep. Then there were quite a few pieces to this. You know, we do it's the whole shebang. But she got the reward of, you know, 100% reversing her cognitive decline, and she's maintained it. This is the voltage of her brain, so the energy production in her brain. And we can see that it started out around 7, which is the low end of normal. And when we were done with the 6-month intervention, she was at 13. So 14 is the high end of normal. And that basically means her brain was able to make more energy. So she was really struggling to produce enough energy to have those memories, to find those words. And after 6 months on this program, she had more energy in her brain. And of course, you can imagine she was feeling more energetic in life. Then these numbers show her reaction times. So what we are measuring here is in the blue line is her physical reaction time. So what's happening is you're wearing some headphones, and we're measuring how quickly after there's a beep, you hit the button on the mouse with your finger. And then the orange line is how quickly your brain responds to that auditory stimuli, that beep. And so we can see here that downward slope means that it's happening faster. So it's taking fewer milliseconds for her to have those reactions. Part of that is going to be because she has more energy in her brain. So this is the type of thing that impacts driving, decision-making, how quickly we find those words that we're looking for, how well we remember where we were, where we're going, why we're in that room. If we have a quicker reaction time and more energy in our brain, then it's easier for us to remember and to speak and to engage and to work and to live life, stay independent. So what we are basically offering is this Marama at Home course is what I am doing to help you implement this program at home. So it's an 11 module caregiver training course that we have available alone on its own for $497. And what we're doing right now for a limited time is adding 12 live coaching sessions with me. And this has been so much fun. We got started just 3-4 weeks ago on this live coaching, the first session of this, and we completely sold out. We actually oversold that course, and we have people already signed up for this next one because they weren't able to join us for the September or for the August course. So we're going to get started in September and be done by the end of the year so that everyone who's interested can go into the holidays of 2020 feeling the best that they possibly can. So what you'll be doing is 12 live coaching sessions with me, and these are on Wednesdays. So if whoever's interested, if you have questions, chat with Whitney in the Q&A or in the chat. And we are making this totally risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so no risk for you whatsoever. We want to make sure that this is the right program for you and for your loved ones. And all you have to do is jump in today. We will sell out of this. We have, there's 80,000 people on our list, and we will open this up to them in the next couple of weeks, but we're giving everyone here an option to jump in right away before we sell out. We also have a community, a private Facebook group that you will be invited to, and that is a place where you can ask all your questions. You can get feedback from other people who are doing this at the same time at home. You are not alone. There is a community of people who are also doing this and learning and have lots to share with you so that you never sit in confusion again, wondering if you're doing all you can for your brain or for your loved one's health. So again, there's a money back guarantee for 30 days. If we want to make sure this is the right program for you, let us know if you have additional questions about that. And then also put your questions in the Facebook group. You'll get answers, not just from Whitney and I, but also from other people experiencing the same thing that you are. My very favorite part of this program is the one-on-one calls I get to do with everyone to learn what they want to get out of the program, what their struggles are, how we can best support. I love, love, love hearing the stories of everyone at home and what they're doing and all of their successes and all of their challenges, and then figuring out how we can best support. So there's also just this priceless community that comes with joining the coaching course. And in this group, you're going to meet accountability partners, potentially your soulmate, meetup partners, and other people that can support you. And we're all here to ensure that you are in a community with people who are dedicated to reversing and serving those with Alzheimer's and dementia. So that's why we're all showing up here. And what we want to do is just create more of this community. So what we notice is that if you write a goal down, so this has been studied over and over, if you write a goal down in your own handwriting, you are 60%, 6 out of 10 times you're going to achieve that goal. If you are in a community and you share that goal with other people who can hold you accountable, you are 9 out of 10 times going to achieve that goal. So what we want to do is be that support that gets you from 60% to 90% successful. That is why we are here. Community is so, so, so valuable. What we saw at Marama is that when we had to isolate people with COVID, we saw increases in falls and incontinence in all of these physical manifestations of the disease process. And when we got them back in community, it took some time to recover. But when we get everybody in community, they do so much better. And our goal here is to create that community virtually so that you can stay in the comfort of your own home. And also because Marama is full and we don't have beds right now, we want to make sure that we're creating as much of this so that people can get as much access at home as possible. So we are offering this Marama at Home course, plus the coaching with me, plus the private Facebook group, plus the one-on-one kickoff call with me, all for a total of, which would add up to a total of nearly $8,000. And we're doing all of this for $1,997. So the future webinars, this year, we're doing this for under $2,000. In the future, this will probably start around $5,000 just because there's a lot going on with these pilot projects. It's hard for me to set aside the time. So I never want you to sit in confusion ever again. There's a money back guarantee on this for 30 days. No risk at all whatsoever. And I wanted to share with you a couple of things that the current participants have shared with us. I was just talking this past week to Shelly. She said, this has been a blessing, blessing, blessing already. I got through the crisis and now we are moving into restoring autonomy, finding balance in our relationship and a routine at home. Having the summit plus Marama at Home, plus the coaching has given us the resources to know what steps to take next and put the knowledge to work at home. So if you are looking for that kind of benefit, like what Shelly is already getting just 3-4 weeks in, then please sign up today. From Richard, he said, the program is brilliant. It's already helped me to get more organized and prioritize. My days are already different. We are both doing the meditation daily now. It's working. I feel so much better. And from Peter, he says, I love the questions from other people on the coaching calls. I get answers to questions I didn't even realize I had. This is the power of community. So if you are interested, we sold out the first group and already have people signed up for the second. I want everyone to get the support that they need. And so please ask Whitney if you have questions or get signed up for this right away before we sell out. Sharon, I want to share with you a couple other people who have gotten the benefit of the Marama at Home course, and kind of, if you can identify with Sharon, she really wants to help others. She's a nurse and an educator. She's a nurse. She teaches other nurses, and she nursed her mother through Alzheimer's disease for years, and her mom passed away. And for years, she was juggling, working, teaching, and then also caring for her mom. And now that her mom has passed, she's no longer flying across the country and jet lagged and sleep deprived, but she is looking to prevent this for herself. And she wants to make sure that all of the nurses she educates, that they are learning the best and most recent data, that they are getting the best science, and she's teaching the nurses everything that she can so that they can help anyone suffering with dementia. So if you want to prevent dementia for yourself and you want to help others, and especially if you're in an education position where you can kind of be that ripple effect and teach others to help others, then please sign up for this. We're going to get you the latest information. If you're like Mary and her husband, Jim, they have a bucket list and they want to travel again, and they were waiting for Jim to retire, and then they were setting off. They have Machu Picchu and Scotland and family in Scotland and Ireland, and they wanted to do the Great Wall of China. They wanted to hike on the Great Wall of China. And as Jim was approaching retirement, Mary noticed that she was more and more overwhelmed when she thought about planning these trips. They've been traveling for decades together. This was not overwhelming to her previously. And when she noticed that the thought of packing and scheduling flights was just daunting, and she also started kind of messing them up so that it created new issues that they were having to untangle, she realized that she needed help and needed to put this program into action. She was aware of the Bredesen protocol, but had just kind of dabbled. She was just dipping her toe in, and now she is diving in deep so that they can get on those trips. And what I'm so excited about, because I've seen this happen so many times, is I know that those trips are going to be so much better because they're doing the program, because they're going to have more energy. They're going to sleep better. They're going to recover from jet lag. faster. They're going to be able to walk further on that Great Wall of China, and they're going to be able to go up more stairs and tolerate more the little things that come up with travel. And so I know they're going to have a way better time because they're both going to be healthier from doing the program. So I cannot wait to be getting postcards from them from around the world. Lisa has shared with us that she is joining this course. Her dad passed recently of Alzheimer's, and she watched her mom struggle to take care of her dad. And she also experienced the torture of needing to care for her dad and give her mom a break. And she doesn't want to do that to her kids. So she's highly motivated to make sure that she doesn't put that burden on them. And she is doing all she can to prevent dementia for herself. Nora, she has a grandson who's up at Oregon State University, and he is a freshman studying forestry, and he struggled with cancer as a child. And so Nora didn't know if he would make it to college. And now she wants to be there to see him graduate. And again, I think she's thinking a little bit small. I think that, he's young. I think he's a teenager still. He might be 19 or 20. And I think that she can meet and know his children if he decides to have them, right? It's a little early, but I think not even focusing on, well, of course, you got to focus on something to get started, but I don't think that she just has 3 or 4 years of good cognitive health. I think she can have 10 or 15 years of good cognitive health if she can get and stay on this program. And so that is what she's committed to. And I cannot wait to hear that she gets to watch her grandson walk across that graduation stage. This one gets me every time because I have good friends, and the thought of watching, of course, we all have good friends, but I look forward to growing old with them. And Mariana, she reached out because she bought this course because her best friend Anna is showing signs of decline, and she's known Anna since grade school, and they grew up together in Mexico. And Anna nursed her parents through Alzheimer's, and then Mariana saw her go through that, and now she's noticing that Anna is having signs of cognitive decline. And so she bought the course so that she can learn the process, and then introduce her friend Anna to it. So she wants to understand it first. And she is so dedicated to this because she wants to continue making memories with her friend. And I completely relate to that. I was recently celebrating a birthday with my very best friend who I went to medical school with, and we have all these memories to reminisce about. We have kids about the same age. We keep going through these life transitions together, and I can't wait to make more and more and more memories with her, and to be robbed of that it just sounds so unfair. So this course, my hope is that Mariana and Anna both get the benefit of maintaining that cognitive function so that they can be laughing together for decades to come. So the way that it works is you will sign up for maramathome.com/webinar is where you would go to sign up for this. And Whitney, if you could throw that in the chat, and then you'll log in, you'll have access to this caregiver training course. And then every Wednesday, we will do 12 weeks. Every Wednesday, we will do coaching and Q&A on Zoom so that you can get those individual questions answered, which is what we're going to jump into right now as well. So thank you for joining us. You guys really are the inspiration. I get so much value out of this, just learning from what everyone is doing at home, what your questions are, what you're discovering. And it's just such a privilege, an absolute privilege to do this work in the world. Your care, your dedication, your perseverance, your love, and your attention are really just absolutely so humbling, and I couldn't be more grateful to be doing this work in the world with you. So let's jump into the Q&A here. The info for keto for vegetarians, that hopefully you have the link to the Ketotarian meal, or excuse me, Ketotarian, not just one meal, but the entire cookbook, the Ketotarian by Will Cole. That's a really, really great one. From Janet, I'm a Bredesen practitioner and Bredesen coach, referring this seminar to current and potential clients is a must. Who is a keto authority or expert I can also refer to? Who do you like? I really like Will Cole. I think Gundry is a little bit too restrictive because he has people avoid a lot of the veggies because of the what am I trying to say? Somebody's going to put it in here, please. I want to say lentils, but it's not lentils. It's this component in a lot of plants, and I'm blanking on the name. But anyways, I like lots and lots of veggies. Josh Axe, yeah, lectins. Thank you, everyone. Lectins. Thank you. Lectins. That's what they are. So I like Josh Axe. Yes, I really like. There's a handful of people. I don't even know Ken Berry, Sean Baker. I don't know these, but Amy Berger. I'm gonna get out this book. Amy Berger's Alzheimer's Antidote. She has a lot about why ketosis is so important. And then I also really like the Neurogenesis Diet and Lifestyle by Brant Courtright. Those are really good ones. Max Lugavere, he doesn't talk as much about all the way getting into ketosis, but he has a lot of keto recipes, and I do like his stuff. So those are some people that I refer to. I'm not familiar with these others, but I really appreciate the list because I will look into them. From Diane, I've heard intermittent fasting is not good to do every day for women's hormones. Is that the same with the keto diet? As a perimenopausal woman, do I need to go in and out of ketosis? I just started 1 month ago. Okay, this is a phenomenal question. Denise, here's the other book. So you don't want to be in ketosis forever. You want to go back and forth once you're keto adapted. So being in ketosis for a month, being in ketosis for 4 out of 7 days, I think that it's best to go in and out of ketosis. Absolutely. About a month is how long it takes to get that brain healing effect and to keto adapt, which my definition for keto adaptation is that it takes you 24 hours instead of about 72 hours to get into ketosis. So you get into ketosis faster. You can usually tolerate like a little more berries. You can tolerate a little bit more carbohydrates. So that's like my definition of keto adaptation. And then, yeah, you don't want to be forever on the ketogenic diet. You want to go back and forth. And then from Jennifer and Dale Bredesen's book, The First Survivors of Alzheimer's, all but one of the success stories were early onset. Early onset. It's great to save those who are much younger, but how does the protocol help with elderly people? Okay, so maybe instead of early onset, you might, are you meaning earlier in the disease process? So early onset is when people are in their 50s, 40s, and 50s. So early onset, early in their lives, there's onset. And then earlier stage, it's when like the MOCA score is higher, but maybe they're older. So we see benefit for people at all ages. So maybe in the book they had early, like people who were younger, and certainly we have more confidence when someone is younger. So I do recommend people start as soon as they can, but we see benefit in people in their 80s and 90s all the time. All right, from Dwayne, do you ever use acaribos with carbs? I don't even know what that is. So I do not. Does your chef ever do the conversion of starch into resistant starch by cooking it and then quickly freezing it? I don't think so. I don't even know about that. I feel like I can learn so much from you. From Jeffrey, I'm so confused. Started interest in preventing dementia through Perlmutter's books, then Bredesen's. I've also viewed Brain Health Masterclass by the Shares Eyes, yep, and read Max Lugavere's Genius Kitchen. Dr. Perlmutter indicates ketosis is optional and allows eating cheese, some dairy products, and certain meals, while Dr. Bredesen recommends keto and I think allows meat and dairy. The Shares Eyes require a vegan diet, and Max recommends meat eating. Everyone agrees on elimination of simple carbs, eating healthy fats, which we have done, but I need clarity on all things that all the experts apparently don't agree on. This is such a great question, Jeffrey. And my experience and anecdotally what the docs that Dr. Bredesen worked with in his research is that the higher those ketone levels, the better people do. I think that the ketogenic diet, and there's recent research, feasibility studies for the most part, but there is research that shows that that is a brain healing diet. And what Brant Courtright, what I like about him is that he says, ketosis at first, that's a brain healing diet for 3 to 6 months. And then I recommend switching your diets up seasonally. So you don't want to be in ketosis forever. And so you could do more of like a Shareazai plant, whole foods, plant-based diet, like in the summertime, and maybe even more of like a raw vegan. And then in the winter time, when you're not in ketosis, something more like what Max recommends, which is heavier in meats and proteins, and that you're varying your diet. So I think variety is really the name of the game here. But what you don't want is to always be on a standard American diet. That, yes, we can absolutely agree on. The elimination of simple carbs, lots of good healthy fats. And then throughout the year, I would bounce through these diets, but always be on one of them. And I do think that there is a lot of benefit from getting into ketosis. So from an anonymous attendee, could you go into the importance or not so importance of the hormone leptin and what happens to this hormone throughout the day given in a given day or week when in ketosis, and what happens out of ketosis? So this is a really great question that I actually don't know the answer to. I used to measure leptin a ton, and since I've had more people going into ketosis, I actually don't measure it anymore. So clinically, I can't really speak to this. I'm sure there's research out there that does, but I'm just not familiar with it. All of your residents are on Recode at Marama. Yes, that is correct. Regarding the daily schedule, when do you administer the Recode supplements? So they are in Recode in the app, and they have everybody at Marama has a doctor. So they have the Recode subscription, and then everybody at Marama has a doctor who has individualized the supplements for them. And those supplements are administered according to the treatment plan that's designed individually for them by their doctor. And then we have a staff, we have a med tech, Lexi, and there's a Joan and Lexi and who else? Dulce is over there. And they help and make sure that everybody gets the right supplements at the right time. How do I determine if I am in ketosis or not? The Keto Mojo, that is the best way to do it. It's a finger prick. And then you prick your finger and it's blood, and that, there are these urine strips, there are there's the breath meter and the urine strips. I just don't know how to get them to work. So we just rely on the Keto Mojo. What are the exercises? The exercises, Deborah, are in the Marama at Home course. And then we'll do another webinar on the exercises that'll be in, I think, 2 weeks. This keto diet guide is available on the Solsari website. You just sign up and you'll get it. So Sharon is asking, for whom would the keto diet not be appropriate for? This is a very important question. I should have mentioned this tonight. Earlier, but the keto diet is not good for somebody with kidney disease, some liver conditions. If you have a history of an eating disorder, so if you, this can trigger anorexia, orthorexia. So if there's a history of an eating disorder, probably best to stay away from, because it can be somewhat restrictive. There is caution with gallbladder diseases. I highly recommend working one-on-one with a health coach if you've had a cholecystectomy, if you've had your gallbladder out, or if you currently have a gallbladder issue. And then also with insulin-dependent diabetes, you're going to very quickly need to change your medication. So you want to be working closely with someone who can help you with that so that you don't go too low in terms of your blood sugar. And then sometimes people who have gout or high uric acid, you also want to be careful, because this if you're getting too much protein, that can exacerbate it. But if you're doing a really nutrient dense, like vegetable dense keto diet, then that shouldn't be an issue. High cholesterol and diabetes alone, those are not reasons to avoid this. You actually can reduce your cholesterol on the ketogenic diet because you're burning fat for fuel. So that's a really good question, Sharon. And this is definitely this keto diet that's available on the Solsari website. If you could throw that in there, Whitney, that'd be super helpful. And you'll get access. You will also get access to this and like me talking through the whole thing for an hour if you want that through the course. What tests through regular labs or the specialty labs can one do to see if their body is fit enough or cut out for the ketogenic diet, or even temporarily being in ketosis? The vast majority of people are. Our bodies are designed to go into ketosis, but talk to your doctor, and I would consider that with them. And usually, just a metabolic panel would be all that you would need to know if your kidneys and liver can tolerate that. Should the memory care facility be doing the MOCA test? You need a trained person, so you need to go through a MOCA training to do a MOCA test. Typically, this is actually done at a neurology office, and some primary care offices will do that. Do all of our residents prick their fingers for? No, our residents don't prick their fingers for Keto Mojo, and we don't actually do any testing at Marama. People at home have the luxury of being able to do that. At Marama, we can't do that. And we just assume they're in ketosis because we're giving them a ketogenic diet, and then we test whenever we can. And then, what do you recommend for someone who is quite underweight? Oh, this is hard. Who has sarcopenias on hormone therapy? Is a ketogenic diet okay for them? So, yeah, hormone therapy is very helpful for gaining weight, right? That testosterone is going to tell you to build more muscle. They need to be doing exercise, and then usually, hopefully, what we're doing is the body composition changes with the ketogenic diet, not necessarily weight loss, although that can happen. And if they are elderly, like, so if you're over 75, it's so hard. You know, you talk to Gundry, he says, don't worry about weight loss. You talk to other people, it's like, we just don't want any more frailty. And so it really Susan, working with a provider who can guide you through that and make sure that there's not excessive weight loss is important. And then keeping those calories up. From Steve, how many hours should we be in ketosis? So days, I think, or weeks is more the question here. How many weeks to be in ketosis? And for somebody who has cognitive decline, I recommend 3 to 6 months of consistent ketosis. Get fully keto adapted, get the brain benefits. And then once you've been in ketosis relatively consistently, and then you're going to, like, this is what I think of keto as Keto FLEX, like 4 days a week in ketosis, 3 days a week out of ketosis. Usually it's Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday out of ketosis. And then is 2.0 high enough, or should we be trying to get to 3.0? So on the Keto Mojo, what we notice anecdotally, again, is that the people who get 2, 3, 4 on those ketone levels, they do best. If you're struggling to get there, don't worry. Anything over 1 is the target. And you don't consistently need to be at 2 or 3. And there are very, very rare cases where somebody who is pushing fasting too much or pushing their ketones too high, maybe through exogenous ketones, they end up in ketoacidosis. So you don't want that. You don't want to have the acidity associated with too many ketones. Very, very hard to get to if you're using diet. And so hopefully that is helpful, Steve. From Sharon, is this a long-term lifestyle change, or is there benefit to being in ketosis for several weeks and then eating more carbs for several weeks? Yeah, absolutely. This is a phenomenal question. So it really depends where you are. What's your MOCA score? If you're at a 30, but you have your ApoE 4.4, get into ketosis for several weeks, and then get into ketosis quarterly. Every 4 months, be in ketosis for a full month. So maybe that's 1 week a month, maybe that's 4 a month, every 4 months. Whatever you like works for you logistically. Sometimes people are traveling, there's a wedding, there's a birthday, whatever is coming up. So working around the holidays and things like that, but regularly get into ketosis and then go back and forth. If you have dementia, if your MOCA is a 16, then I want you solidly in ketosis for 3 to 6 months. So you get those brain healing benefits. After you've keto adapted, once you're there, then now we're going back and forth. No one should be in ketosis for the rest of their lives. That's not healthy. That's just as bad as always being in glycolysis or burning sugar for fuel. You want to go back and forth. I've also heard that there's good research that the mind diet is effective as well as the keto diet. I do not know about the mind diet. I would love a link to that. Or maybe I do and I'm just not calling it. I don't know. I'm a vegetarian. Can I still be successful? Absolutely, you can be successful. Ketotarian is the book by Will Cole, and that is the one you want to go to. That is a vegetarian ketogenic diet. I manage my vertigo and dizziness through supplements and foods. There are celery, pineapple, blueberries, and sweet potatoes. Can I still get into ketosis? Not eating pineapple and sweet potatoes. But I would work, Deborah, work directly with someone who has, you may actually be able to get through the vertigo and dizziness. And this has been used to treat epilepsy. I'm going to answer 2 more questions, and then I'm going to let you go. What is the easiest way to tell if you're in ketosis? From Margot. Keto Mojo, finger prick, blood test. It will tell you if you are over 1.0, you are in ketosis. If you're between 0.5 and 0.9, you are in mild ketosis. If you're anything below that, you're not in ketosis. And I definitely want to go into keto as early as the start of fall. How to prevent keto breath and other top 5 criticisms of the keto diet. Ooh, what are the other ones? So sometimes it's just a matter of getting up and over that keto breath piece. It's like a detox process. Exogenous ketones are super helpful. This diet guide will help you prevent muscle cramps, constipation, those kinds of things. And you should be able to avoid all of the kind of pitfalls of keto. Is dairy okay or not? Or is it just butter and it's okay? I think dairy is okay. You're not going to be in ketosis forever. I would love for you to go towards like a vegan diet when you're not in ketosis, more carbs like those sweet potatoes and seasonal fruits. But the dairy, I don't want to be too restrictive. I want you to be successful. So go ahead and eat dairy. Now, don't be drinking gallons of milk because it's actually hard to stay in ketosis because milk has a lot of sugar in it. Glucose plus the lactose is milk. And so you want to be doing things where some of those milks, the milk is actually processed. So like cheeses, yogurts, kefir, butter, yes, are all okay. All right. It has been so fantastic to be here with you all. Thank you for your amazing questions. This is so helpful to me, and I hope very helpful to you. I hope you had really great takeaways and you're able to put this into practice right away. Thank you, Whitney, for all of your help. I'm going to keep this going for a couple more minutes, Whitney, so that you can get all those questions and also all of the chat. And then I can't thank you all enough for being on this journey with me. It's just such a privilege. Thank you all. Good night.